Alright, Shalom, Shalom, Kahalayim, Wahawadla, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honors the apostles and elders of great millstone at Ruel. Peace and blessing to the Akim around the world that pushes through to the four corners of the earth. Right, there's Brother Yaraba. I said I'll go through a few precepts. I'll entitle it, well, this kind of ties into a video I do recently, talking about brotherly love have different forms. I'll entitle this one seek to be a son and not a bastard, because we know that these things that we had to go through in this truth, it doesn't be easy for every brother. It does vary. We just had to deal with afflictions, we just had to deal with chastisement, we had to deal with all the different hells, we had to deal with being a spectacle, all these different trials that we just had to go through in different ways, in this kingdom, to get us ready for the next kingdom. And even though it doesn't be easy sometimes, you still also have to keep in mind that it's better to go through this, to be a son than to be a bastard, than to be a castaway, to be a tutored, to be one of Israel that the Lord not dealing with. It was better to go through these things, and to have the wisdom and understanding that we have, than to be in darkness and not be as afflicted as readers be. A scripture just come to my mind, and these are things that you should always try to keep in mind, especially where things might be kind of overwhelming for you, because everybody has had a time where things has already started to get to them, because it doesn't just be things of the flesh. It is also be spiritual, as in it has spirits that is making it worse. So even though you might be going through an ordeal in the flesh, in the mind, in the spirit, yes, you have spirits making it a lot more difficult to bear with, right? But it's better to go through these things than to actually be an outcast, to be a bastard. You understand? You always have to appreciate this, even though sometimes it is be tough. I'll read the scripture. It said there in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13, it said, "They had no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able." So you also have to keep in mind also that what you're going through, it's not like if nobody around the world ever go through it, or wouldn't go through it, or doesn't go through worse than it. Scriptures refer to this as what? A light affliction. Even though it's be tough sometimes, it has spirits provoking you and so forth, it is how people who go through way worse than we do. You just watch it on certain news channels, you see it on the media, with children starving in different countries. There's only 4 and 5 years old and the mother and father was blown up in some terrorist attack, and now the childless might have to go to orphanages, and when they go to an orphanage, the owner of the orphanage might be interfering with them. It's not to say like there are other people around the world that go through hard stuff also. You understand? Everybody has had a lot to deal with, the righteous as well as the wicked. But better to be afflicted as the righteous than to be afflicted as the wicked, because when you're afflicted as the wicked, they don't have any reward in stored faith. But when you're righteous and you're being afflicted, you understand, trying to do the right thing and to keep the things of the Lord, in the end it will have a reward for you. Whereas with the wicked, all it will have is destruction. Right, I'll read this over. It said, "They had no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man," as I was just saying. "But the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that which ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it." So the Lord will even be with you when you're going through these things. He even said in Matthew, say, "I am with you always, even unto the end." So it's not to say like you don't have the Lord with you to help you through this ordeal, even though it is not, that don't apply to everybody, but it applies to those that do His will and believe in Him and so forth. Because I have people who think that the Lord with them, and really and truly He's not. You understand? They are not a friend of the Lord. They're not trying to be in accordance with the Lord, to do the Lord's will. They're just doing their own thing and then trying to lean on the Lord whenever they're going through suffering. really and truly the Lord not with them. You understand? So eventually at some point the calamity will overcome them. But for the ones that are done for the Lord, they will be able to endure, whether it be unto death or whether it be unto the end. You understand? But it's always better to go through these things, in the lot of the righteous, than to go through these things being a bastard, being an outcast, not being in accordance with the Lord. Right? They say in Hebrew 12, I'll start from 5. They say, and ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children, my son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. And they even talk about that in I believe is Ecclesiasticus, I think is 5. Let me see which one it is. I think is I think it's 2 in it. Yeah. Ecclesiasticus 2, I'll start from 1. It says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, hardship, suffering. All of these things is stuff that you have to go through in the truth. That is your refining process, your grooming process, and you also have a lot of things that you have to answer for. As I was in thought today, and I was thinking the same thing. As I was saying that forgiveness doesn't equal no punishment. You understand? People in this kingdom is think that when you forgive somebody, that automatically mean that you're not supposed to get punished for anything, but it doesn't work that way. We just still had to face some kind of punishment or chastisement for the things that we do wrong. You understand? We hope that ultimately to the end we will escape the destruction that the 2/3 and the other nations would not. You understand? But we still get punished for things that we do wrong. Not because the Lord forgive us, that means that we wouldn't have to suffer some kind of chastisement for our wrongs. And we have a lot of things to answer for in this truth. Before we came in the truth, and sometimes even when you're in the truth, you just mess up sometimes. You understand? You gotta prepare yourself for that. And you gotta prepare yourself to go through these things while trying to rehearse righteousness, which does be difficult. It's very difficult to be chastised while trying to be good. Alright? It says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. Right? It says, cleave unto him and depart not away. And that's what a lot of jakes does do. When they start to get afflicted, what do they want to do? They just want to go back to how it was. They just be like, I can't take this. You understand? They just want to go back to the times where all these things wasn't happening to them. When they could do whatever they want and enjoy life, and they didn't have to go through all these trials and all these punishments and all these things. You understand? And that way you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to deal with it. You understand? That's how the Lord purifying you for that time. That's how you're answering for your wrongs. Better to answer for your wrongs that way now than to get caught up in the destruction later on. Alright? It says, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased in thy last end. Right? It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. Because it would happen. Even though it mightn't be financially, it would have situations where you would be brought low. You understand? Whether it be a situation with family, with finance, it's have many different ways that has happened to you. Even with spirits messing with your head. Right? But these are things that you had to endure through. Scriptures talk about counting the cost. When you come in the truth, they one of the first things that does teach you. So days where you had to deal with from that point on until the end. And in the truth, like I remember our brother once told me, and I always try to remember it, the longer he is in the truth, is the more subtle the spirits in your head does get. Is the harder the trials does get. You understand? It has become simpler because you're growing wisdom, but yet it has become more difficult because your trials has sometimes become more difficult. You're like when you're playing a video game, level 1 boss not going to be level 5 boss. You understand? Sometimes it has turned up. It has turned up to suit your level. So when you level up, Sometimes, situations is level up to suit your level. But these are things that we had to go through. Right? Right, when thou art changed to a lower state, a safer gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. And adversity means what? Hardship. You understand? So these are just things that we had to go through. Right? These are just things that we had to go through. And I remember that is Hosea, right? No, it's not Hosea. I think it's Micah. It's Micah. Micah 7 verse 9. Micah 7 verse 9, it say, I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against him. And indignation refers to what? Righteous anger. So the things that we go through, is not like if we never do nothing to look for it. As I told somebody before, what you get is what you just look for. You don't get something that you don't deserve. People always say, I don't deserve this and I deserve that. The Lord don't give you things that you don't deserve. If you deserve it, you'll get it. If you don't get it, it's because you don't deserve it, or it doesn't deserve you, or something. But you don't get what you don't deserve. You understand? So if the Lord allowing things to happen to you, it is for a reason. Something you did to look for it, and this is just what you have to go through. Every man's trial is be different because every man's lot is not the same. All right. He said, I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against him, until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. And we had to continue in that righteousness until the time come that, we get that mark of exemption, as we talk about in Ezekiel 9. You understand? We dealing with these things now, so when that time come, we will be classed as sons and not bastards. In that time, you don't want to be a bastard child. You want to be a child that the Lord, done for. Right? The Hebrews, going back in Hebrews 12, I'll start back from 6, right? It says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. So this is a requirement. You can't escape it. You'll find some brothers mightn't get chastised as much as others, but every man's lot is not the same. But you had to deal with this in the truth. Alright? It says, if ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. It says, for what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? Some brothers just need more chastisement than others. You understand? That's just how it is go. But when our Father care about his son, he would chastise him. Scripture even said that. It say, he that spared the rod hated his son. You understand? All these things that we just had to deal with because they're just a part of it. And it's not to say like you don't deserve it in some way. Right? It does be difficult, yes, but this is just how it is. It's better to be chastised in righteousness than to be chastised in, being an evildoer, being a wicked man. Verse 8, it says, but if ye be without chastisement, wherefore all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. And you'll see a lot of these tutors out here that's be living the life to the fullest, committing adultery, doing all these wickedness, and you realize nothing will happen to them. And the slightest thing you do sometimes, you might bounce your foot hurt you for 3 days. You understand? But the Lord preparing them for something else. You dealing with your stuff now, but he has something else prepared for them. And you can't want to envy their leeway time, because when they go and receive what they had to receive, you're not going and envy that. You understand? So he's already had to focus on you. He's already had to be in that mindset to understand that, sometimes it has been a little tough, but these are just things that you have to deal with. But it's better the Lord deal with you this way than for you to deal with how the tutors going and get deal with in time to come. I often say, like, when you're upset or you're going through a low point, or your mind really not, your mind just not active in the spiritual stuff, these things just tend to slip your mind from time to time, and then you just tend to forget that all these things just happen for a reason. Even with Job, when Job was going through his little ordeals, where he say, shall we not receive good from the Lord and not receive evil? So he understood that that's just how it had to be sometimes. Sometimes good stuff will happen to you, sometimes bad stuff will happen to you. But still, you had to do less like Job did and hold fast to your integrity. You had to understand that days where you sign up for, days where you're a part of, days where you had to deal with. Whether it be good or bad, you had to go with the flow. You understand? I have our next scripture here. Today, Romans 8, is that 20, 24, 28, one of them. It's 28. Yeah, Romans 8 verse 28, it say, for we know that all things work together for good to them that love, to them that love God, right? And we, even though we might go through hardship sometime, we know, all together, as long as you're doing the will of the Lord and so forth, even though it might be tough, all of this working towards some kind of good in the end. Just like with the prophets, some of the prophets had to go through the hardest things. You understand? Ezekiel had to eat shit. Literally had to eat shit. You understand? But it did work out, in the end to his benefit. Even though at the point in time, he wasn't ready. He probably wasn't seeing that far. Who knows? When you literally had to eat shit, you're like, this what you me doing? But in the end, it will work out for him. And it will work out for all the servants of the Lord, as long as they hold fast and keep the saints until the end. At the point in time when you're going through it, it doesn't always be the easiest thing to deal with, but in the end, it will work out. As long as you hold fast and you run the race until the end, right? It say, I read it over. It say, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love Him, to them who are the called according to His purpose. You understand? So you always had to try to keep your mind in that particular way. Keep your mind focused on those kind of things. And always try to remember, even though it might be difficult sometimes, it's better to go through this than to have the lot of a sinner. No matter what it is you might be going through, it'll be tough a lot of the times, yes, but it's better to have your lot than to have a sinner's lot. Right? Better to be a son that a son being chastised than to be a bastard. Always. I hope it was edifying. With that, I say shalom, akim, stay strong.